And for about a week, I was going through the motions, getting ready to drop out of school, getting ready to look for an under-the-table job. I actually got a $5 an hour job at a Chinese restaurant because I was 15. I couldn't get a real job, but I didn't know what else I could do. And after that week, she calls me and tells me that she went ahead and got the abortion without telling me. And despite that being the choice that I would have made if it was my call, it still affects me. It was a lose-lose situation. And just, one second, I'm sorry. It would have been a lot easier if she said this to begin with, because I wouldn't have had to go through that week of thinking everything I had planned was over, you know? Like, it's not the right mindset, but I didn't know how else to think. And despite that being the choice I would have made, it's still it. Like, it's been 5 years, I'm 20 years old now. Every time I think about it, it still feels fresh. It hasn't gotten any easier. And this is something that's gonna follow me for the rest of my life. And not only can I not forget it even if I wanted to, I don't think I'm allowed to. Because, you know, you make a mistake, you reap what you sow. And I brought this upon myself with my actions. And before the whole situation came up, I had the mindset, you know, if I get a girl pregnant, abort it, you know, like, it's easy. It's not gonna affect me because it can't even think yet, you know? Like, you think it's like a flower, like it's alive, but it can't think. But it still hits. It still affects me, and it never will stop affecting me. And it's just something I have to live with for the rest of my life. And don't get me wrong, I know some guys who, like, boom, abortion. They get the abortion done, they're like, cool, I'm free again. And I know some guys like that. But the thing is, you never really know who you are until you're put in that situation. Because I thought that's who I was. I thought I could say, you know what, forget it, whatever, let's get an abortion. But once it happens, it just flips your whole world upside down. So you don't know who you are until you're put in that situation. And that's what this whole seminar is about. It's about not putting yourself in that situation. Because this is a mistake that's going to follow me until the day I die, and I just have to live with it. And it's affected a lot of aspects of my life. Like, if I get close to a girl, I don't know, should I ever tell her? Should I keep it to myself? Will this ruin my relationships for the rest of my life? I don't know. And I'm still scared. I'm terrified. I don't know whether I should tell people or not. But I feel that this has to be said. Someone has to say something, you know? So that's why a lot of you are relative strangers, but I gotta make this known. It will affect you if you get put in this situation. It will affect you for a long time. 5 years, still fresh, it's still new. It doesn't get easier. Maybe it will in the future, I don't know, but as it's looking, maybe not. So with that said, be safe, wrap it up. Don't do stupid things, and be on top of your game, and really think about the repercussions of your actions, because you think it might be easy, but it really might be the hardest thing in the world. Thank you.
Brandon's a perfect example of the scar abortion leaves on everyone. It is a scar, and it's something you can't wash away. And even if you think it's just a quick fix and you get it and you're done and you wash your hands of it, it'll come back to you at some point. So you have to think about that impact and the seriousness of that action. If you are ever in that situation, we want to encourage you to talk about it with your parents or people or anyone, and think about alternatives and think about keeping it or whatever. And we have Linda from BirthRight here, who's kind of going to talk about what BirthRight is and how they help pregnant women and encourage all births and everything. And so I'm going to turn the floor over to her and kind of let her explain everything.
Well, I brought a few little things. One is we have some brochures for all of you, and then these are little fetal models. We bring these around when we're speaking at places, and you can see the babies. These are actual size of how they are. This is 7-month-old. Some a little bigger, a little smaller. And I appreciate your candidness. That was a beautiful story from both of you. And I have a story as well, so I might, since you shared yours, I'll share mine. Mine isn't when I was a teenager. My story is when my son was a teenager. And he was going with his girlfriend for quite a while too, and one night he walked through the door and said, "Mom, I got to talk to you." I knew what it was. And I said, "I don't want to hear it." He goes, "No, Mom, I got to talk to you." "No, I don't want to hear it. I know what you're going to say." "Becky's pregnant." He said, "I didn't want to hear it." And he chose a weekend when his dad was not going to be home. Dad was away with, up in the mountains, howling at the moon with his friends. And so that was pretty hard because then I got to be the person to tell my husband. I tried to hide it, when he called to see what we're all doing, and he knew right off what's going on. Nothing. So they kept their baby, and we're Catholic in my family, so abortion really, we don't think about that. If you get pregnant, you're keeping your baby. So right away, oh my God, what are the relatives going to think? The whole 9 yards. And that part of it was hard. So he was the first one with all the cousins and everybody who's got pregnant, so that was fine. And 9 months later, we had Timothy Martin, and my son decided to name him after his godfather. And 9 months later, she became pregnant again. Yeah. So anyway, so I was really ticked that time. But now we have Elizabeth Ann, who is 16. So if I think about if they were not brave enough and courageous enough to walk the walk, this world would be without Timothy Martin and Elizabeth Ann. So, parents get angry and upset because certain expectations haven't been met, and also you feel you have failed your child as well. Something happened along the way that both sides, we failed them in a certain way, but actually we all know how 17-year-old boys act and where they are in their life. And so, there's always a saying, you fight real hard to get out of the womb, and those boys keep trying to get back in as soon as they turn a certain age. That's true. It's true. They're always trying to get back in. I don't know why, it's kind of crowded in there, but anyways, but I'm the executive director for BirthRight of Walnut Creek / Concord. This is Whitney Flores. She is co-director. And Allison Smith is a student here at DVC, and she's our college reach-out coordinator at BirthRight, and she's working with the pro-life group over at Cal Berkeley, and she is eager to start a group here, also a pro-life group here at DVC, so you all might want to talk to Allison. What BirthRight is we are a crisis pregnancy center, so it would be a place where you could have come and and talk to us. We're a pretty well kept secret because we are a very poor nonprofit agency. We don't have a whole lot of money for advertising. Our mission statement is every pregnant woman has the right to give birth, and every child has the right to be born. And at BirthRight, our essence is love. So we are here to love you through the crisis that you are going through. Sometimes we will help the person coming into, sometimes it's a couple coming in to see us. I have had fellows come alone and want to know what they could do to help keep the baby, but ultimately it's the woman's decision. So it's true, the men get kind of put aside, and that part of it is kind of hard because in most instances, the fellow wants to keep the baby. And statistically, couples who go ahead and get an abortion, they don't make it. They break up. Even if they're married or engaged, usually if abortion has happened, the scar of that abortion is the marriage, the relationship does not work unless they really fight hard to keep it going, because anybody can make a mistake. BirthRight was started by a woman by the name of Louise Summerhill, and she's from Toronto, Canada, so that's where it started. One person, and their Roe versus Wade happened before ours. I don't know what you call theirs. But she found a need for women, because back then it was really pretty crazy. It's the end of the 60s, my era, and the beginning of the 70s. It was really crazy out there. Women burning their bras, and they're in the feminist movement now, so they're more men than they are women, and they're getting away from America's values, so to speak. And she found a need to help those women in trouble who wanted to keep their babies, and they were very, very pressured to abort their babies. So she and a gentleman minister from the Presbyterian Church offered to give her a free office up in Canada. And now we are international. We're in Europe, we're in Latin America. There's 450 offices internationally. Louise has passed away, but her daughters have taken over. And one of her daughters is an attorney, one is an accountant, and one runs the international office up in Canada. And we have a national headquarters here in Atlanta. And so anytime we need help or anything, that's who we call. We